Have you ever found yourself alone in the kitchen, staring out the window with a cup of coffee in your hand and wondering where the fire went? Not just in your day, in you. You used to wake up with purpose. You had energy in your legs, a clarity in your mind, a quiet readiness in your body. You felt like you. But now mornings feel heavier. You move slower. Your thoughts aren't as sharp. And somewhere between the morning paper and the evening news, something inside you has gone a little quiet. And if we're being honest, it's not just your energy, it's your desire, your confidence, that sense of closeness, physical and emotional, that once came so naturally, now feels distant, or forced, or gone altogether. Maybe you've chalked it up to age. Well, I'm getting older, you tell yourself. This must be normal. But what if it's not? What if the real reason you feel this way isn't your age at all, but something much more subtle and more dangerous? I've spent over 35 years in practice here in Greenville, South Carolina, working closely with older men, listening to their stories, watching their lives quietly change. And what I've discovered might surprise you, because again and again, I've seen a pattern. Men who come into my office feeling tired, unmotivated, distant from their partner. They think it's low testosterone, or stress, or just a long winter. But underneath all of that is something they never considered. Something in their diet, a common vegetable, no less, that's slowly choking off their blood flow, damaging their circulation, and robbing them of sensation, energy, and connection. That's right, a vegetable, one that many people still believe is healthy. Now I know how that sounds. I really do. I was skeptical myself the first few times I saw it. But when I dug deeper into patient labs, into nutritional studies, into the body's vascular response, I found something alarming. For men over 60, certain plant compounds can quietly damage the inner lining of your blood vessels, especially the tiny ones in the pelvic region. These small arteries are critical for sexual function, energy, and mood. And when they're inflamed or constricted, everything slows down, desire fades, erections weaken, sensation dulls, and your connection to yourself and your partner starts slipping through your fingers. Now here's the catch. This doesn't happen overnight. You won't wake up one morning and suddenly feel 20% worse. It's gradual. It's quiet. A little less interest here. A little less response there. A shorter fuse. A foggier brain. And before you know it, you're not the man you were 5 years ago. But you don't remember when the change began. That's how sneaky it is. And worst of all, most men never find out what's really going on. They blame themselves, or their wife, or they go hunting for a quick fix in a pill bottle that only treats the symptom, not the cause. I've sat with too many men, head in their hands, saying, "Doc, I just don't feel like me anymore." And it breaks my heart, because I know, with every bit of my experience, that it doesn't have to be this way. In just a few minutes, I'll tell you exactly which vegetable I'm talking about, and why, for men over 60, it may be slowly erasing your masculinity from the inside out. More importantly, I'll show you what to do instead. Simple, natural shifts that can restore blood flow, sensitivity, and vitality. But I need you to hear this first. This is not about shame. It's not about blame. And it's definitely not about giving up. You see, I've watched men in their 60s, 70s, and even 80s reclaim their vitality, not through testosterone injections or surgery, but by removing the silent saboteurs from their diet and supporting the body's natural ability to heal, circulate, and connect again. You have more power than you think, but you've got to know what's standing in your way. And for many men, it starts with something sitting quietly in their fridge, doing more harm than good. Stick with me. What you learn next may not just restore your energy, it might bring back a piece of yourself you thought was gone for good. And if any part of this message speaks to you, subscribe and click the bell so you don't miss the rest of what I'm about to share. And write in the comments where you're watching from. I read every single one. Because this isn't just information, it's a conversation. One I wish more men were having. Ready? Let's take the first step. He walked into my office a few months ago, hat in hand, eyes a little low. His name was Carl, 67, retired firefighter, widower, proud grandfather of 3. Good man, still sharp, but something was weighing on him. "Doc," he said quietly, "I just don't feel connected anymore. To myself, to life." He wasn't sick. His heart sounded strong, but I could see it right away. His spirit had dimmed. After we talked for a bit, I asked him something simple. "How's your energy? Your drive? Your interest in intimacy?" He hesitated. Then he gave a tired little laugh. "What drive? I feel like someone unplugged me." And that's when we started looking closer, not just at his labs or his meds, but at his daily habits. What he was eating, drinking, doing. I always ask my patients to keep a food journal for a week before we meet. It's incredible what you learn when you pay attention. Carl's diet looked decent, mostly home-cooked, not a lot of sugar, no alcohol. But one thing stood out like a red flag waving in the wind. Nearly every day, he was eating large amounts of raw broccoli and cruciferous vegetables, cauliflower, cabbage, kale. Now, don't get me wrong. These vegetables aren't bad for everyone. But in men over 60, especially those struggling with circulation or low testosterone, they can quietly become a problem. You see, cruciferous vegetables contain high levels of goitrogens and indole compounds. These substances interfere with thyroid function and hormone balance. More importantly, they can impair iodine uptake and reduce the body's ability to produce nitric oxide, the key molecule responsible for dilating blood vessels and ensuring blood gets where it needs to go. In other words, too much of these healthy greens can actually reduce blood flow to the brain, heart, and yes, the pelvic region. Carl had been doing everything right, except he was unknowingly shutting down the very system he needed to feel like himself again. So I suggested a simple experiment. Cut back. Swap the raw cruciferous vegetables for lightly steamed alternatives just twice a week, and instead increase foods rich in nitrates, like beets, arugula, and pomegranate. Add a daily serving of dark berries. And perhaps most importantly, we added one simple, natural herb to help reopen those tiny blood vessels. The results? By day 10, Carl reported that he was waking up with morning erections again. "It's like my body remembered what it used to do," he said. By week 3, he had more energy, better sleep, and, his words, a warmer feeling down there. And by the end of the month, something even more powerful had changed. He said, "Doc, I'm smiling again. I didn't even notice I'd stopped." Now, let me be clear. This wasn't some miracle cure. It wasn't overnight, but it was real. It was his body responding to better blood flow, balanced hormones, and the removal of something that had been quietly draining him. You see, when we support the circulatory system and stop harming it, we give the body a chance to do what it's been trying to do all along: heal, connect, function. And here's the best part. Carl wasn't alone. I've seen this pattern over and over. Older men who thought they were doing the right thing by loading up on raw greens, only to discover that what they really needed was targeted circulation support and less of the wrong vegetable. But that was only the beginning, because the herb I mentioned, the one I started Carl on, that was the first domino. What happened next surprised even me. I'll tell you about it in the next part. It's a plant so powerful, it's been quietly studied for decades, but most doctors still overlook it. It works by naturally targeting the same mechanism as those famous blue pills, without the crash or the side effects. And when Carl added that to his routine, his transformation truly began. If this is resonating with you, don't forget to subscribe, tap the bell, and tell me in the comments where you're tuning in from. I want to know who I'm talking to, because this isn't about theory. It's about you.